everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of Daily Stock, we are going to look at the earnings of the Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, we will be looking at its third quarter earnings, which were released in the last week of October, to see if there are emerging opportunities to trade and invest in its share stock. Let us look at the fundamental side first, and afterwards, we will also consider its technical outlook and try to combine both these different analytical systems to see if we can have the odds in our favor. We always need the odds to favor us because we can't be sure, but we want the probability to be on our side, and that's where favorable odds help. First, let's go to the quarterly report. This is the release from the Facebook itself, which can be found on its investors relation page. This is public information, and here you can go through the fine print. I will be walking you through the highlights of these earnings report. I won't be explaining point by point. That is not the purpose. The purpose is to see what are the highlights of these earnings report and how these highlights can help us in figuring out the truer picture of the situation to make the fresh assessment of its current outlook and what to expect for the upcoming quarters. The meta has been on a upward journey since the beginning of the year. If we look at its share price, it has more than tripled if we count it from the bottom to the top, and that way you can say that this has been a phenomenal year for the company. And given the size of the company, if you see, this is a big move, and equally big move was unfolding last year when it has lost more than two-thirds of its value from the peak to the trough. So both ways it has been volatile. Last year it was losing value. This year it has been adding value. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, the volatility is there. Pardon me. And for us, the key thing is to look at it number and see how things stand at the moment. This is the earning snapshot where we have the revenues at US dollar 34.14 billion for the third quarter. That is the quarter ended September 30th, 2023, which is a 23% rise from the revenue a year back for the same quarter. But that is not the whole of the story. We have to look at the operating income, and that is where the gains are visible the most. The operating margin of the company has now gone up to touch 40% from below 30%, and that has changed a lot because the company decided to cut costs and it took several initiatives to reduce its operating expenses, and that seems to be paying off with its operating margin back in a healthy territory. And with that, its share price has also rebounded, and it is continuing its upward journey. Even in today's session, it is rising higher and higher. The net income had more than doubled for the last quarter, that is third quarter of 2023, compared to the third quarter of 2022. So you can see that there is this 164 percentage point rise, and that is a remarkable achievement in itself, because last year a lot of these technology companies were under pressure to reduce their operating cost and bring those numbers in check and make a turnaround of sort, and that I think Meta has done quite commendably, and its results are now showing up. The engagement parameters are also healthy for the company. So if you go through the fine print, you can read all these points, and these are giving a good idea of what kind of engagement is there, and there is also uptick on the people's engagement with the platforms offered by the company. These are the highlights of the restructuring initiatives which were taken in the beginning, starting from the beginning of 2022, to cut costs, to realign its business as per the objectives decided in aftermath of economies opening up, and with the focus on efficiency and betterment of operating margin, some tough decisions were taken which has helped company reduce its operating cost. We also have the forward guidance from the company where it is expecting the fourth quarter to be on the similar lines with these earnings gain in the positive territory. The year 2024, that is next financial year, is likely to see the losses from the augmented business side to increase a bit, because the company is embarking on new product development. As a result of that, it is incurring losses on that side, but the company's cash cows are raking up the mullah, and the company needn't be much bothered about its newer newer initiatives which are sort of capital intensive, and the company is needing to burn the cash. Let me take you through the highlights as well. So this is the graph of how the revenues have changed quarter on quarter for last two financial years. Pardon. And there you can see that there has not been drastic change in the amount of money the company is making, but if you look at the operating margin, then there is tremendous variation, and the operating margin has varied significantly. That has also sort of reflected in the share price movement of the Meta. And if we look at these net income numbers, these were quite good. Then it started to go down, and it reduced to even less than half. And from there on, it has rebounded fast. This quarter in particular, the third quarter ended September 30th, has been phenomenal, where it has seen the net income rise more than anticipated, and that has started a newer rally in the share price of the Meta. These are the diluted earnings per share numbers. So all in all, you can see that the fundamental story for the Meta is looking quite promising, and all we have to do is see if there are opportunities to trade in this promising bullish environment. The short-term trajectory is also conducive for the buy on dip strategy. So for next couple of session, unless this price level of around 300 is breached on the lower side, we can be fairly confident of continuation of the bullish momentum in the short term. The medium term to longer term outlook is also on the similar lines, where we have seen the Meta share price consolidate with bullish bias. Here, if we look at these sharp moves, this was on the day of release of its quarterly earnings, where it saw sharp move on the lower side. It opened lower, but from there on, there has not been any looking back, and it has continued to climb with a fresh swing high being made in today's session itself. And for next couple of sessions, at the minimum, the outlook is likely to remain bullish, but given its consolidatory phase, I'm a little bit doubtful whether it will be rallying strongly on the higher side, or it will simply continue to consolidate with bullish bias. So as to be prepared for any of these eventuality, we do have to be mindful of these consolidation lasting much more longer than what we are counting on. And if that happens, we do want the losses to be minimal, or even if possible to make money. And that is where the patience comes in. We have to wait for better risk reward ratio, and if next time around we see some sort of correction from the current levels and the price level around this price swing high holds, then in due course of time we can even buy it afresh with the expectation of climb toward this immediate swing high. So the medium term and longer term is also telling the story of the bullish stock, where we can expect the Meta share price to cross above this price swing high established way back in 2020. So that is the price level which I feel is likely to be touched in the coming days. But today may not be the day to buy. We will have to wait it out. We will have to see how this consolidation unfolds. And as I said, some sort of correction from the current levels shouldn't be ruled out. And if it did come to, if it indeed comes to pass, then that will be an good opportunity for us to jump in and brace ourselves for the move higher in the Meta's trajectory, which is looking promising. And all we need to do is make sure that the risk reward ratio is favorable, so as to make sure that in the eventuality of we being wrong in our assessment, we shouldn't be losing too much money. So pay attention to the price moves of the Meta for next couple of days, and given the solid fundamental story, we only need to get these technical entry points right, so as to reduce our risk in the eventuality of we being wrong. And that is going to be enough for us, because if we are having a good risk reward ratio, and if we get a couple of things wrong, if we get trade wrong, even in that scenario, we will be able to recover next time around and make money overall. So that is the my key point to be emphasized here while looking at these Meta's share price movement. So that's all from my side for today's session, where we considered the Facebook's, that is Meta's, numbers as well as technical setup to see if there are opportunities for us. And looking at that, I feel that the opportunity is there for us to buy on dips, and for that, the price level of around 300 is going to be crucial moving forward. So watch out for these price moves and pay attention to this trajectory of the meta. That's all from my side for today's session. Thank you all for joining in. See you around next time. Thank you all. Goodbye.